Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is my brand new custom campaign, set in the same world as my other custom campaign, but in a completely different area and possibly a different time. We don't know. Because I haven't come up with a calendar, because I'm not quite crazy enough to do that. And I have a hard time with the Gregorian calendar, much less making up my own. Yeah. To kind of bring everyone in, the commander was asked by a woman named Abigail to try and help out her village, which was being basically taken over by a noble who claimed to own the land and had falsified papers that claimed to own all of their land and was trying to kick them out. So the commander, realizing that this was not a one-person job, went and sought out a few people that he was aware of in the area that had a little bit of notoriety to them. Finding, I believe, you guys are going to have to help me remember your names. I believe one was the Drifter. And Lillian, you were the Drifter. Fala, what were you?
The Vigilante.
Oh, the Vigilante. So, yeah, the commander was able to find the Vigilante and the Drifter and kind of got him to come with him. And then they were kind of tracked by a character known as the Preacher, who happens to be a very secretive preacher. And when they got there, they were met by a character known as the Mercenary and another character known as the Outcast. And so they formed this motley crew, scared away the noble when he came and tried to intimidate the townsfolk into leaving, and met one of the townsfolk who actually used to work for the noble, who showed him where the camp was. Briar, also known as the Preacher, was able to sneak in and found out a lot of information, and found out that the noble is not the one that's actually pulling the strings here, but was never able to actually see the person who was. She went back and told everyone else about it. Everyone else started kind of heading back and circling around the camp so they could make more plans. And they ran into a group of 4 people with some interesting abilities. They could walk up trees. They had limited ability to control people's minds. But you guys made short work of 2 of them. The other 2 were able to get away. One was able to get away. One almost got away, and then your friend shot him, and you guys were able to get a little bit of information out of him. And that's where we ended it last time. As you guys just finished using Speak with Dead on him. Or her, I think that one was a her. And so, yeah, you guys are kind of in the middle of the forest. Because of the fire, the explosions and everything like that, the camp is going to be sending people to investigate relatively soon here. So what do you guys want to do?
I say we head back.
Which way?
Yeah, head back where?
To the town.
Yeah.
We know we have a slight buffer.
I suggest we take a slightly longer route so we don't just walk through, for lack of a better term, the crime scene.
Yeah, and you guys again, with the fact that you have a hunter as your guide, you guys will have no problem making it back to town without running into the patrols or anything. Like, you guys are far enough back in the forest right now that circumventing them won't be difficult. So that's definitely an option you have.
So we should probably get a move on so they don't just surprise us again.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
While we're walking back, though, I want to tell Colin to forget what he saw, because instilling fear in the town we're protecting isn't the smartest idea. Essentially to have him keep a secret who I am from them, since he kind of was freaked out with me speaking with a ghost.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then the outcast devouring his soul didn't help either. So he's a little bit more pale than he was before the incident. So he very quickly, he's like, yes, of course, I'll never speak of this to anyone, ever, for the rest of my life, which I intend to be very, very long. And you can see that he's kind of looking towards the outcast now. Very, very long. And then I expect my soul will go to paradise in Elysium and not into the stomach of someone who shall remain nameless.
Yes, let's hope. I'll just put my hood back on.
All right, so yeah, you guys are able to make it back to town. It takes the better part of a day because of how far out of your way you have to go. If I remember correctly, because it was like 8 hours. The camp was like 8 hours away originally. So yeah, it takes you the better part of like 12 to 14 hours to make it back. But you guys are able to make it back to town. Did you guys? It was night when you left. Did you guys travel through the night, or did you rest and then continue traveling after sleeping?
I believe we left in the morning to get there.
It was
Right.
It was night-ish time.
Yeah.
When you fought. So what I'm asking is, you guys got far enough away so that you couldn't be found, which would have taken you about an hour. Did you guys just press on through the night, or did you make camp and wait until morning to start traveling back to town? Because that'll change what time you get back to town is all.
Yeah. And assuming we pressed on and left immediately, didn't we?
That's up to you guys. What?
Night
leave
is
what-
good. Night is good.
I'll leave it to the people who need sleep.
I'm okay with pressing on, Commander.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys make it to town, probably late morning, maybe after, mid-afternoon. The sun is still in the sky by the time you guys make it into town. And once you get into town, Colin makes himself scarce. He's like, I did what I intended to do. My conscience is clean. I've got no part in this. Well, at least not until the fighting starts. I'm gonna go prepare. And he goes.
I just give him a nod.
So Colin leaves. You guys come back to town, and Abigail is the first person that you see, and she comes just running towards you. So, what did you find out?
A few things. They had about 100 people. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
At this
you guys saw in the 100 realm.
around about 100 mercs. They don't probably just gathered together, led by some person named Mordecai, according to the preacher.
Yes, Mordecai.
I don't know that name, but 100 men. We've
That's just what we saw, because we don't know what else they have up their sleeve.
we barely have a score that can fight anymore.
These are men who have been paid coin to show up. They're probably not expecting a big fight. A score of people fighting for their lives versus 100 tin soldiers. I like our odds.
Well,
They're most likely. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say they're most likely mercs, but they probably don't fight together well.
Well, not just that, it's that now their leaders know that we are here is the bigger issue. That's what they know. So
And then there was this Lord Kynan. I don't know who that is, but he was there as well.
So 3 figureheads, 1 pulling the strings, and 1's just a muppet.
So are you saying the noble that's doing this, it's not his plan?
No,
He's just a tool.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah.
he's the face of the whole thing.
Most of the noble as a tool for the vampire anyway.
We pay our taxes and our blood tax. This land was worthless until we've been farming on it for 5 years. And even now, we barely make enough crops to survive. It's probably another 5 years before this land becomes fertile. Why would the vampires want it? They abandoned it centuries ago because of how infertile and worthless it was. Now they magically want it back before it's even worth anything?
I am not of the arcane mind. I look at some of them are magical members of our group, but apparently they want it for something and they need it in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I guess as a thought, I don't know, but with how close we are to the border, it's maybe a holding of some kind, like a fourth what's the words?
Some strategic value.
Forward outpost, something like that.
But there's nothing here that could be used as a forward outpost. You've seen all the buildings we have. Half a dozen buildings and a single intersection. How do you turn that into an outpost? And to be honest, with how close we are to Fenrish, if they built up a military presence here, Fenrish would know. And my understanding is their leader has no problem waging into war and battle with his troops. He'd show up here faster than...
Could it be something else? Minerals, arcane power, some other reason that they didn't know about before?
I don't know. We're farmers. We don't have enough arcane power amongst all of us to light a candle, much less discover something magical about the area.
What do you know about that history? Are you sure the reason they abandoned it was because of fertility? Maybe there was something else at when that they were probably going to do it at the time. Could that be possible?
I mean, yes, but we wouldn't know about it. I mean, my my daddy settled this land. He purchased it from the vampires with the intent to turn it into farmland and brought a score of people with him. 3 or 4 families. They each took a chunk of it, started developing it. It took years. But none of them were historians or anything like that. The most we have of records is rainfall records, crop yields, a few journals talking about what did and didn't work. Nothing like what you're describing.
I didn't see it made that bad. My experience of vampires just take what they want, whether there's a real reason or not.
I mean, maybe if you were to head to, I mean, this land used to be owned by House Merovingian, and that's who we pay our taxes to. They may have more records than we do, but I mean, that's a few days journey away. All the while, we'd be helpless here without you.
Yeah, and I don't think we'd rather read the records if you're not at the door because we want to know why you have interest in this land.
Well,
Guys,
that,
Lord Kynan is from Merovingian City.
Hmm.
The dude who's in charge of this whole thing.
they're in the city outside of House Merovingian. The vampires have their own records, and they go back centuries. But the towns outside of them have records as well. And they're generally in libraries and things like that, staffed by humans and dwarves. I mean, the vampires don't really venture out into the cities.
Right.
So if you were able to get there, you could probably find a lot of information. The issue is time.
Yeah, I didn't I think that funny. Is it really important that we know why? I mean, the fact is that the wars of the vampire masters want this land,
Do we
and we've been hired to protect them.
know for a fact that it's the vampires that want the land?
Oh, is it here always a vampire?
I don't think we know for sure it's the vampires, but that's who I'm putting my money on.
Well, because if it, do we know for a fact that Kynan is one?
Well,
And if he is, if he's not one of the higher vampires of the house, it's possible this could be part of an internal struggle.
The name Kynan is not familiar to me, and we tend to know the higher ranking vampires. They make their names very well known. The vampires tend to have a fairly large ego. So if he is a vampire, he's not very high up.
Right.
Would
Well, it could be trying to make a name for himself.
It's possible. I just don't understand why he needs to make a name for himself here.
would I happen to know a lot of the higher up vampire houses because of my family?
You would know. You would be able to recognize names of the heads of each of the houses. You would know their names.
Yeah.
Probably a physical description of them. You probably haven't. You've never seen any of them, but you would know a physical description of the heads of the household, and probably would have would recognize some of the more prominent members. If somebody mentioned a name, you'd go, "Wait a minute, that's one of the higher ups in House Valois." If the leader dies or is forced to step down, he's third in line to lead the house or something like that. So
But this kind does not ring a bell?
no, it's not a
Okay.
name that you recognize. The name itself is a vampire name. As in, it's not an uncommon name to hear, because it's a first name. It's not a surname, and vampires tend to, when people are turned, they will sometimes keep their old name. A lot of times, they will change their name to kind of fit better into the vampire society, and so that's a name that's not, unpopular amongst them.
I asked Abigail if she's heard of the family Dompierre, because that's where the family Kynan's from.
Well, of course, that's one of the 13 houses, but Dompierre is almost on the other side of Sanguinius. We've never even had an envoy from there.
That's who Kynan's from, and he's the one who's pulling all the strings, allegedly. So.
That makes even less sense.
I
If it
all I
was
know.
someone from Merovingian, I mean, this land is under Merovingian control. We may own it, but we still pay taxes to House Merovingian. If House Dampierre takes over this land, there's taking land from another house. That doesn't make sense. That would simply start a conflict between houses.
All I know is that in all my travels with my mercenary group and those years I traveled by myself, I fought and seen a lot of things. I have never fought people that showed no pain and bled dark blood and wore these, and I pulled the belt that I took off of that woman.
And she looks at it, and you see her face get a little bit more pale, and her eyes kind of get glassy for a second, and she just stops talking.
I put it away.
She's still just kind of standing there dazed.
I
I
like
put
put
my hand on
my.
her shoulder.
I was gonna
As
do it.
soon
And
as
then
you
I
touch her,
see-
she kind of, almost like she's waking from a daydream or something. She's like, "What? What? Commander?
What? Are you okay?
Fine. When he brought out that buckle,
I'll
You
keep.
so you remember seeing it?
I mean, in the back of my head, I can see it, and I know I must know it, but for the life of me, I can't remember anything.
I'll keep it out of sight of anybody from town, but we may
Wait.
want to look into
That's
this.
what it is. There was a man, oh, 3 or 4 months ago, before any of this started happening. He came into town and I don't know.
I go over to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
He was gone a week later. For the life of me, I can't remember when he was here.
Do you remember anything about him? Say that.
Well, he didn't smile.
Did he walk around in the daylight?
I think so.
Hmm.
I mean, I just remember he showed me that buckle, and then everything starts getting fuzzy after that.
I go over to Henri. And I was like, "Hey, can you do something to check her out? To make sure there's no spell or anything on her."
Actually, I can.
Oh, okay, Valerian.
And I will go over and lay a hand on her, and I'll hum a little tune and cast Identify
On her?
on her.
Okay. The identify spell works on objects. It doesn't generally work on people.
If you instead touch a creature throughout the casting, you learn what spells, if any, are currently affecting it.
I was not aware. You could do that. So concentrating for a few minutes, and you start to use your music to manipulate the weave. You see something kind of weird as you're sitting there, kind of examining her. She's not currently under the effect of any spell. But you can see like echoes that she may have been affected by something magic in nature, but not an actual spell. And she's not currently affected by anything.
Okay. I will. That's strange. Argenta,
If
can
you
you
want,
come with me for
roll
a
an
moment?
insight check.
Okay. Oh no, 4.
Yeah. No, unfortunately.
Oh,
Argenta, may I see that? Can we step aside for a moment?
yeah. I'll step aside and
Out of
make like a make like a
eyesight,
body block so that she doesn't see the belt type of thing.
and then I'd like to cast Identify on that as a ritual.
Okay, so it takes you a little bit longer, and you focus on it, and you hum a tune. The buckle itself is magical in nature, but it doesn't cast any spells. What specifically does the Identify spell tell you about an object?
You choose one object that you must touch throughout the casting of the spell. If it is a magical item or some other magic imbued object, you learn its properties and how to use them, whether it requires attunement to use and how many charges it has, if any. You learn whether any spells are affecting the item and what they are. If the item was created by a spell, you learn which spell created it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
The long and short of it is a magic item. It was not created by a spell, and it doesn't technically cast a spell. but it has the ability to channel another creature's natural-born ability through it.
Hmm.
And it looks like it can do that once per day.
Interesting. I think I'm going to hang on to that. If you
You
don't
also
mind.
find out the buckle itself is mundane. It's the stone in the middle that
Okay.
actually has the magic.
Well, I mean, we're both half drow. I don't like arcane stuff though, so I put it into her hand.
Okay.
I'm gonna,
Also, I just used two pearls that I had that were worth 100 gold each.
Identify doesn't burn the material, does it?
Does it say which is consumed upon use? I think it's you just have to have it.
Okay.
Unless
Let me double check that.
with spell components, unless it says which is consumed upon use, it just means that you have to have that item before you can cast it, but it doesn't consume it.
Yes, that is correct.
So,
So, I just have a pearl.
okay.
Never mind.
Makes identify actually a useful spell. So yeah, you get the idea. The stone itself is magical in nature. And what's your other half? Your drow and what?
Human.
Human, yeah. Then you wouldn't know anything about it.
would I, being a full drow?
Nope. This
Okay,
isn't.
because I also have one of the belt buckles.
Yeah, this isn't. This technically isn't drow tech,
Okay.
but it
Here's
is.
the human.
It skews on the technology side versus the magical side.
Another question: would I know something about this growing up in Valakovia?
This is not Valakovian
Oh.
Okay.
or Valachian tech. Valachian tech is much more mechanical in nature. They tend to forego arcane almost completely, and this is tech that looks to go hand in hand with arcane abilities. So
Hmm.
I want to kind of. I'll cast message so that I don't freak out Abigail, and send it to Valeraven and mention that whoever did in fact make these could possibly find out our exact location by using them, knowing that there's two missing off their bodies if they were to go get them back.
well, it's not like people don't know where you are right now. I mean, you've been seen in this town, and you've said you're protecting it. If someone's going to look for you, they're probably going to start here.
I can whisper back, correct?
Yeah, you basically. I think you have like a sentence that you can say, and then a sentence back.
Yeah, pretty sure.
So does that mean we could use these for a wild goose chase?
I'll say yes, but I'm just gonna mute my mic because my dogs are going ballistic in the background.
So wait, if it's not drow and it's not human, does that mean it's from Finrish?
Or it's not from this continent.
Or that?
I've spent most of my life in Fenrish.
If
I
you
don't
wanna,
know.
if you want to try and examine it, you can see if you can figure out anything from it.
Here, I'll hand it back.
Who exactly? Me?
Yeah.
Okay. What do I roll?
Let's call it a history check.
Okay, it's a straight roll. Here we go. No.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah. I've never seen one of these in my life.
It seems unique. You know, other than the fact that there was 4 of them, You know, the belt buckles are not mass produced or anything like that. It seems that this was made with a very specific purpose. But beyond that, you got nothing.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like tossing it in my hand, and I'm just like, well, we don't really need to know why. We just need to protect this place.
It's worth a
I'm
shot.
Argenta, you actually might be familiar with this. Roll an insight check.
Insight. Okay.
Commander, you might be interested, or you actually would probably be familiar with this as well. So you could roll an insight check with advantage.
Uh, I don't think like a 8 will do suffice.
Yeah,
The
still
key
a
for
mystery.
advantage. The first roll was a 4, but the second one was a nat 16, so 20 total.
So you've seen people that are conditioned to do certain things. Part of like commanding an army is kind of conditioning people to react to certain stimuli in a certain way. You think the response she had to seeing the belt buckle was not magical in nature at all. It was a conditioned response.
So like a brainwashing.
Possibly. There may have been magic involved in the conditioning, but you've seen people that if you show them a certain object, they will react the exact same way every single time. And sometimes that's done intentionally. Like you have trained people to react that way for combat reasons and protection regions. And sometimes it's completely involuntary, like PTSD type stuff, where they see an object and it triggers a very specific response from them. So, unfortunately, you don't know enough of this particular one to know exactly what caused it, but kind of with a 20, kind of piecing things together, you think she was intentionally conditioned to kind of just become very compliant when she sees that.
What do you guys think?
Well, that's just confusing. Somebody came in here 3 months ago wearing a belt buckle like that. Somehow made the people of this town, when they see it, become very compliant,
Or
and then is working for a group of people
technically,
to come in and push them all out.
the only person you know that this has that effect on is Abigail.
Yeah, Argenta,
We
can I
need to
see
find-
that buckle?
We need to find more people that
Uh,
may have known about this visitor.
I'll go with you because I think I know what you're gonna do. We're gonna make rounds, aren't we?
A
Yes.
little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I'll give Commander mine, just so they have two.
Thank you. So I just want to. Are we in the bar right now? Where are we?
You guys, we're technically in the middle of town. She saw you coming and rushed out to meet you.
Okay. And how many people are around? Are they out busy doing their daily work?
You don't see anyone right now.
Okay. I'm gonna head towards the bar
Okay.
and see if anyone's in there.
As you go in, the barkeep is there. The bar also serves as the town's inn as well.
Uh-huh.
So the barkeep is in there. You see about 3 or 4 different people in there. 2 of them are actually at the same table speaking to each other. The other 2, one's at the bar and one's at a table by themselves, and they're just drinking.
I head up to the barkeep and just nonchalantly hold it out in front and just start initiating conversation, asking if the day is going well or if things have been busy. Just to see his general reaction to it itself.
Okay. So he's cleaning a glass, and as you come over, he's like, "What can I do for you?" And as you start chatting with him and just kind of shooting the shit, he's cleaning the glass, and he'll look up at you, and he's cleaning the glass, and eventually his eye catches the belt buckle, and you watch his eyes become a little bit more soft. He puts the glass down, and he continues talking with you just as normal, but his hands aren't moving. He's put the glass down, his hands are at his side, and his eyes are kind of half closed.
In Alvin, I'm approaching the commander and I'm just like, just ask him to do something. Doesn't have to be anything in particular.
He turns to you, and in perfect drow, says, "What would you like me to do?"
Okay.
And
Oh,
he doesn't speak it with an accent. Like, he speaks it with a drow accent.
I hide the buckle.
Yeah, my eyebrows just shoot up when he does that.
yeah, mine too.
Hiding the belt buckle doesn't change anything, but as you wait for a minute or two, he eventually kind of blinks, realizes he's not doing anything, picks up his rag, and goes back to cleaning his glass. Going, so, sorry, must have zoned out for a wee bit there. So what can I do for you?
Nothing. You've done everything. Thank you. And I go over to the table, or actually, sorry, I'll go. I'll order 2 ales from him and take them over to the table with the 2 guys.
Okay. You notice that he puts the glass down he's been cleaning and gets 2 other glasses and gives you 2 ales. He's like, that'll be 4 copper.
I give him a silver.
He kind of nods to you, pockets of silver.
Head over to the table, sit down with the 2 gentlemen at the table, and just start up a conversation and do the same thing again with.
As soon as you sit down, they go, "Excuse me. Is there something I can do for you? Does it look like we're inviting guests over here?"
It just looks like you guys could use a drink. I'll set the drinks down in front of them.
In that case, it's a pleasure to meet you. And he takes the drink and downs it.
While I'm sitting down, I pull out the buckle and just hold it in front of me, kind of like it's in like necklace height, just holding it in front of me like I'm playing with it as if it were a necklace. Just see what their reactions are.
And as he does that, he's like, now, don't have to be going around showing off your fancy bits. You know as well as I do we're poor as church mice. The other one speaks up. Well, that's not very nice, Gareth. I mean, he's just like playing with his little thing, and then you're being so mean, and he bought us his drinks. I think it's nice. Philip, I'm sorry. You know,
Of course
I'm
they came
Gareth,
back.
not Philip. Right, Gareth. What the hell is wrong with you? I don't know. It's been a long day. And then there's the whole thing that we're all going to die. Kind of puts you in a bad mood, doesn't it? Oh, a nice ale. That makes you feel a lot better. Of course, Philip. But yeah, this isn't really a nice ale. It's kind of off. I've never really thought the quality here was that good.
Of course, they would make an appearance. Sorry. So I put the buckle away and say, I'll just say, enjoy your drinks and head back over to the group.
Okay.
I kind of hand follow the buckle back, and I'm just like, I wonder if it's because we have drow in us. Like, you try it at some point.
Do you explain what happened, Commander?
Yeah.
So I have a thought. If only certain people react to this, we can kind of piece together who this individual was talking to know the importance of what he thought they posed.
Yeah.
So we could put together a trail.
What does Abigail do?
She's a farmer. Her husband, technically her husband owned the land, and she worked on it. Her husband's dead because he was one of the guys that got killed.
Huh.
Now, when I asked about history,
Hmm.
she mentioned that her family was the first to.
Yeah, her dad was one of the first settlers. From what she told you, her dad was one of the first settlers. Technically, the farm that she works on is not her family's farm. She married, and she married someone else, and worked on their farm. You didn't ask about brothers and sisters, so you don't know anything about her father's farm.
Well, whatever conditioning, as the commander puts it, that they have on them, they respond to drow and they speak it without an accent.
Uh,
Sorry, is the commander Drow?
no.
No, I
And
am though.
and
So,
wasn't the commander holding the belt buckle to the bartender?
But
yeah,
Argento's the one that said something.
yes, I said something in Elven. He responded to me in drow and turned to me.
Which is a dialect of Elven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that or I go to the bartender and ask, is there a town leader, or is you guys kind of just a communal thing?
The bartender goes, "Yes. Well, there was. He's dead now. He he actually was trying to convince the men that were going to fight the noble to put their weapons down, and we could come to some sort of agreement about this whole issue. He was trying to be a voice of reason and just happened to be close enough when the explosion happened. We really haven't had the time or the heart to elect a new leader. To be honest, Abigail's probably the closest we have to a leader right now."
Then that makes a lot of sense.
The same.
I am older than you, and I
That'll be
don't
2 copper.
I give him 5 copper.
Pockets the rest of it.
Yeah. And I could ask him about his family, how long he's been in town,
Okay.
how long his family been in town.
To make things go a little bit quicker, he's not a native of the town. He's only been there for about 3-4 years, and he came here specifically. He started as a just a bartender because he was looking for work, and they had need of a second. He doesn't technically own the tavern. The owner, once he made enough money from the tavern, the owner moved off to a house Merovingian city, and collects. Comes into town every so often to collect the profits and everything, make sure everything's running correctly. But the tavern itself is run by this guy, and a woman. They kind of co-run the tavern and the inn for this owner. But neither of them are residents, or not residents, but
Natives.
yeah. They've only been here for a few years. They say that the owner was originally came over with the farmers and everything, and just couldn't farm, and so he found another way to make money.
Oh, hang on. Argenta Henri, and is it Valeraven? Aren't you Drow as well?
Can't you tell?
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yes.
You three come with me. I go back up. Are you guys at the bar with me?
I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of hanging back.
Okay.
I'll be in the building, but I'll just be hanging back.
I pull out the buckle again towards the bartender.
Similar thing happens. He talks to you once he sees it. He becomes a little more complacent.
Yeah. I do know Elven, but I figured Drow would be easier thing to speak in for you for this whole thing to work. See if you guys can ask. Similar to when we asked. I just want to see if the language makes a difference. It's a wild theory, but see if maybe we can act like we asked Abigail. See if this makes a difference, though. Speaking in Drow. Basically ask if he remembers anything that happened 3 months ago when the guy came in town.
In Drow, I'm just like, a few months ago. Tell me what happened when a man with a similar buckle came into town.
He answers in perfect Drow. Would you like your room prepared?
I knew it.
Yes, we would.
He turns around, goes behind the bar to a separate room, comes out with a room key, puts it on. Whenever you are ready to leave the room key here. We will ensure everything is clean for you. Again, perfect Drow.
Which door is it?
Is it numbered? We don't want to ask that, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he describes it's the corner suite, quote unquote. It's the largest room, which still is not a massive room.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a king size bed, a desk, a chamber pot, and a vanity with a wash bin.
All right, let's go check it out.
And
Okay.
I'll grab the key before I pull away the buckle, so that way we don't get issues. And go up and check the room out.
Seems again, it's again probably the nicest room here, which is not saying much. The bar is not very high, and yeah, as you look around, it's a room. There's nothing really in here. It's been cleaned recently, at least you think. The bed's made. There's clean water in the wash bin that's on the counter of the vanity. The chamber pot is clean.
I mean, he did come here a few months ago. It'd be weird if things were left. I'm kind of thinking he used the belt buckle for ease of access at this point.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to think too. But I'm also wondering if maybe
And you guys didn't pay for this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe he left something hidden in the room, something he can come back and get for anything.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, while they're doing that, I want to head back down and ask if they keep any records of people that stay. Like just simple, like name and if they paid, what room.
He seems slightly hesitant to talk to you, but he goes, "Oh, yeah. I mean, there's we might keep records of things like that, but well, you see, I can't be sharing the books or anything with you. That'd be completely unprofessional of me." And
I slap 20 gold on the counter and be like, we kind of need to know of a certain individual.
you seem like a very trusting type. I know that you would never misuse this information or anything like that. and he kind of gestures for you to come around to the other side, because the bar is in an L shape, and so he kind of gestures for you to go to kind of the corner of the bar that's closest to the wall, and there's also a doorway that leads into the back where the bookkeeping and all that stuff is kept there, and
Okay.
and when he gets there, he just slams this very large book on the table. He's like, "Of course, you would understand that I only keep these records for business purposes, and of course you would understand that you would only be looking at them for business purposes as well, right?"
Of course.
Of course, then only employees of the bar can actually look at this, but I've got to go do inventory. I hope nobody takes advantage of the fact that I left this here. And he walks into the back.
I'll just start. Is it any kind of order, or is it just like
It's
everywhere?
a
all
standard ledger.
Okay.
You with your backstory, you probably have never read a ledger before.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit for you to actually go ahead and roll me an intelligence check.
Going up. That's just a 16.
16 is more than enough. It is. It's not something you're used to reading, but after about half an hour of perusing it and looking it over, you understand it well enough to figure out what it is. The first section is bar tabs, who's paid, who hasn't, how much they owe. The second section is the rooms, who's staying, how long they're staying for. You do notice there are certain places where the names are either crossed out or otherwise removed, while the duration and the how much they paid is still there. And then the last section of the book is accounting.
So the names that were erased, any that would match the time frame of what Abigail said this individual arrived?
Looking through the book, you see about a week in that portion. There's about a week of a week's worth of pages missing.
All
You
right.
can see tear marks.
All right, and then I'll just look over the names of the people who have unpaid tabs, and just quietly make note of how much they owe, and then just give that to the bartender, pay their tab for them without their knowledge.
Okay. There are two people who have tabs that are roughly around 100 gold apiece.
I'll pay them.
Okay. So he takes the money, and you see him mark the tabs as paid and everything like that. And then he goes, "This didn't happen."
What happened?
Right. And then he takes the book back into the back.
I'll just walk back out to the bar.
So, the rest of you guys?
I just wanted to make a kind of a. I feel like it's useless, but I still want to do it just in case. I wanted to check the room, make sure there's no hidden things anywhere that they're trying to store or something.
Sure. Investigation.
Okay. That's like a really bad 7.
It's a room. clean.
I'll head back downstairs.
The bed seems almost comfortable.
I would like to try out that bed and just pass out.
Yeah, you don't really have much of an issue passing out. It's not the most comfortable sleep you've had, but it's a bed. It's better than the ground.
But I am exhausted.
Yeah, you guys have been traveling for quite a bit of time. You're going to get getting close to getting exhaustion points if you don't sleep pretty soon here.
Well, I've slept in many places. And this is a luxury, and I just kind of sit down next. Well, it's a king size bed. I'm just going to lay in the bed, too, and fall asleep.
So, Argenta and Vala start spooning.
I'll go down and pay for a room, just because I know we're getting to that point of tired.
It's a silver piece a night per room.
All right, that's fine. I'll pay for it.
Good.
Yeah, I prefer that well.
All right.
I'll pay for one too.
Right, so everybody gets some sleep. Henri, are you gonna get a room or anything, or?
No, I was gonna room with the commander, since he's really the only one that knows I don't sleep, and then mention the week of missing ledgers that I found.
Okay. So,
For that
Commander,
specific room.
you find out that the ledger is missing a week.
Huh. And it's that week of when someone was here, isn't it?
Again, you guys don't technically know when he was here, but it
Oh,
was
it's
a week
more talking about-
roughly about 3 months ago. So, putting 2 and 2 together, you go, that must be the week he was here.
Yeah. Okay.
So you guys get the effect of a long rest. Because you go to bed in kind of mid-afternoon, you wake up pretty early, like pre-dawn. And you do smell very, very faint smell of something cooking downstairs when you guys wake up.
I'd probably already be downstairs just reading, so I don't wake up Commander.
Okay. So, Henri, you would have seen probably about an hour before the bartender from the night before shows up, goes into the back. He kind of gives you a nod, goes into the back, and he started, prepping bread and stuff like that, starting to bake it and other stuff to get ready for breakfast.
I'll go ahead and
As,
head downstairs and join Henri.
Okay.
Yeah, as I'm like throwing on my fur leather coat, I'm just like to Vala. I pull out the buckle and I'm just like, whoever passed through towns and whoever uses these is used to getting their stuff for free, I guess.
Oh, Vala, you would have also found out that you do need to attune to the buckle in order to use it.
Okay.
But because, again, it channels an ability of somebody else, you actually don't know what it does. You would have to use it in order to figure out what it does.
And it's really just the gemstone inside?
Yeah, it's the gem
What-
that actually does the thing. The buckle around it is decorative.
What color is the gem?
It is blood red.
Excellent. I mean, this is interesting.
The buckle itself is gold. But
Some
not
ideas.
like probably like gold plated because it's not very soft. So it's either gold plated or a kind of metal that's been treated to look like gold but is much stronger, like maybe a brass, but
Okay.
or bronze. You're not sure.
But yeah, I'll head downstairs since breakfast is being made.
You guys get down there. The bartender comes out and he's like, "Oh, You're certainly early risers. I'm not going to have anything hot for another hour. If you'd like, we've got some hardtack. My fruit delivery won't come for another 4 hours. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't have much unless you're willing to wait. We have coffee.
Coffee would be delightful.
All right. So he brings
Yes.
out pot
When he
of-
comes, would I have noticed if there were any temples in this small town?
Again, the town hall seems to be built in a way that they can have meetings there, and it has a few shrines in it, so that people could use it to make offerings to the gods or offer prayers to the gods, things like that. But there's not a full what do you call it? There's not a shrine to every single god there.
Okay.
So, Vala, would you have told us about the whole attuning thing?
Yes. From what I understand, it's really just that gemstone, not the whole buckle, and you have to attune to it. You have to sit and focus. But it doesn't have any magical abilities of its own. It just focuses the user's natural talents.
Well,
Okay.
It invokes another person's ability. You don't know who this person is, but it is a conduit for someone else's abilities.
Almost like a warlock's focus.
Kind of similar but different. It
Okay.
technically doesn't work along the same principle. It's kind of it would be most similar to like a relay station, to where it technically extends the range of this ability significantly, because wherever this stone is, you get the idea that you have to be within, I think it's 30 feet for it to work. But again, it's 30 feet from the stone, not 30 feet from the
Right.
person that's actually using the ability. So it extends that specific ability to wherever the stone
Oh.
travels.
So now I'm wondering if there's any way we can figure out who these stones are connected to.
That's why I bring that up. I don't know. It feels like something that we shouldn't do, but it also feels like something that the only way we can get an idea of what's going on. But I want all of you there for help.
All right.
Okay, that was very vague. Thank you,
Yeah,
Commander.
very
Don't know what will happen.
And by the way, who was asking about the temples?
I was.
Okay. The shrines, because you would have had a chance to kind of look in. The shrines that are in the town hall, they have a shrine to the gentle healer, the guiding beacon, the nurturing gardener, and the wise sage.
Okay. Then I would, after my coffee, just head to the one for the guiding beacon.
Okay.
Wait, on you before you go. Since the food's not going to be ready for a while, we have some time. What do you guys think about, since I don't really have anything magical that I can use, what about I attune to this just to see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, I have enough stuff happening in my life. I don't need more, so be my guest.
I figured maybe we should go back up to that bigger room so that way that there's nothing around, nobody will see this happening.
And if anything goes wrong,
I have you guys there to help.
Yeah.
All right.
yes.
Okay.
So, I guess we'll all head back up and I'll start attuning to this stone.
It takes about an hour to attune to it.
Yeah.
By the time
Well, he's
you finish your tuning, you can smell the smell of cooked meats, bread coming from downstairs. You think breakfast is probably ready, or getting pretty damn close. You
Anything
also
happen?
start hearing, not really commotion, but you hear noise from downstairs.
It doesn't look like anything's immediately happening to him. I'm gonna just head back downstairs.
Okay. There's you're actually surprised by how many people are here, and they're all eating breakfast. It seems like most of the town, most of the farmers and everything come into town to have breakfast together, and then leave to go work on their farms. And it's still technically right pre-dawn right now. Like you're getting right to the point where the sun will be rising, and you know that whole period of time where you have like the sky is gray and you can see just about everything just from ambient light, but the sun hasn't risen yet. That's what time it is.
I'm gonna hang.
There's a name for that. I can't remember what it's called.
Is there like a balcony that overlooks the downstairs portion?
No, just the top of the stairs.
Okay, once I see how crowded it is, I'm just gonna make a beeline for the door and go to the temple.
Okay.
Or the shrine that they have for the guiding beacon.
Okay. Again, it's relatively simple. Just a what's it called? An icon, I think it is. A little statue representing the guiding beacon, and there's a bowl there for offerings and stuff like that, and then there's kind of an altar there for sacrifices or anything. It's small.
Yeah, I'll just kind of pull out my holy symbol and just start praying.
Okay.
I'm just next to Preacher, and I'm just like, why do you keep giving our cloaked friend such an evil look? He's interesting.
That's one way to put it. I have my reasons.
I mean, you're the Preacher. I've heard a little bit about you.
Mm-hmm.
You would know the name the preacher is attached to someone who they're called the preacher because of how often they speak about the evils of the vampires in general. That's where she gets the name, or that's where you're aware of that she gets the name from, is people kind of call her it almost ironically because she's just constantly speaking about how evil vampires are.
I mean, this is vampire business, and he's fighting against it. He can't be that bad.
I'll reserve my judgments till further notice.
Okay, sneaky short one, my patterhead.
Hey!
So nothing happens with the thing?
Well, you get the idea. You get kind of similar information that Valaraven did. You know that you can affect a target within 30 feet with something. Beyond that, you don't know.
Okay, I don't get any like overwhelming feeling of being taken control of or anything like that.
Not that you can tell right now.
Okay.
You've attuned to magic items before. You feel attuned.
Okay, well, unattuned then, because I don't want to stick around with this thing.
What's our next step, anyway?
Do I see how dream
What was that?
Do I see how dream
Roll a perception check. Henri, are you attempting to be stealthy when you leave, or do you just not care?
No, I'm not trying to be stealthy, just trying to make sure that my hood's up.
Yep.
13.
You would have been downstairs eating, and you probably glanced over and saw him go out the door.
I figured you didn't follow others.
By the time you get out, you don't see him because, again, the town hall is not a significant distance away. So just taking the time to finish your meal, he would have stepped through and got into the town hall. But again, going out there and using process of elimination, you would probably guess that he went into one of the buildings nearby, or is really, really stealthy.
I go back but I keep my eye on what he returns.
Okay. So what about the rest of you guys? The commander, Commander, I'd like you to make me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, goody goody. Of course.
On.
What is that? Wisdom. 13.
So when you're done with it, you try to kind of unattune to it, and you can't. You still have a connection to this thing.
Huh. I knew that there was something. That was too easy. Okay. So.
This is why I don't mess with that arcane shit.
I usually don't either, but the curiosity was killing me.
Do you let the rest of us know that you're still attuned?
Oh, of course. Yeah, because I'm not going to sit here and keep something like this attached to me. I want to try and get this off of me.
I would like to try to cast Identify on him.
Okay. Make a wisdom saving throw.
Ooh.
Oh,
I'm just in the corner snickering the whole time.
Wisdom?
Yep.
That would be 21, sir.
Ah. So as you sit there and you kind of sense him, you can't really sense the commander himself. What you sense is the gem and the buckle. And it seems similar to you've probably come across cursed items in your travels. It seems kind of similar to a cursed item, to where he's physically unable to unattune to it, but it's not entirely the same. It's not that the item itself is cursed. Something is preventing him from doing it. So there's an actual active force that's preventing him from doing it, as opposed to a cursed magic item. That's what it's designed to do. This is something living is preventing him from doing it. But that's all you can tell.
Oh, shit.
It's not magic that you're aware of. You've never heard of magic that can do this. Either like you again, cursed items are not uncommon, but you've never heard of an item that allows someone else to exert control over whether someone can attune or unattune to it.
Well, I'm beginning to think this was a bad idea. I think something is preventing you. And not something, but someone is preventing you from taking it off.
Well, this is why I did this. I wanted to find out what this is.
All I know is that when that woman showed me the buckle, my mind wasn't my own for the seconds before I was consumed by fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vala,
Cleansing
Found out
fire.
what
pretty
is it with
quickly.
you and fire?
Fire works pretty well.
Sorry?
Vala, what is it with you
I
and fire?
mean, I cut you first, so.
Yes.
But yeah,
Um,
she told me to kill the one that started the fire. And that's what I did.
If you'd like, Vala, fire worked really well to stop the effect of the item before.
Yes, but there's a point as to where when it stops working. That's what worries me.
You only have the information that you have discovered thus far. Until you try, you're not going to know if fire could possibly fix this.
Fire,
I use dancing lights,
Mhm.
the dancing light cantrip, to conjure some flame into my hands. I mean, look, we know it was
Technically-
effective before.
Technically, they look like little just balls of light that are flame shaped. Like you can change the shape and everything. So it's kind of like a translucent flame shaped light. It's a bit
I open
trippy.
up my Tinder box and I start like menacingly putting flint and steel close to the commander.
I mean,
Please don't. Please.
I'm just saying, fire worked last time.
Yeah, but
And-
the guy died for it to work.
No, Argenta was fine. She was fine afterwards. I
mean,
will
she
just
was
say this.
burnt.
Well, I will just say this. If you start shooting us, I may have to see if fire works again.
I cast minor illusion to make it look like my hands are on fire, and I just start walking towards Commander. And I just start like doing the creepy mantra: fire, fire, fire.
See? The fire is spreading.
I
What's
thought I
our-
got out of the fire is the solution to everything
You
party
know,
when I ended the last campaign.
I don't know.
We are fire. We are death.
In any case, what's our next step here, though?
Apparently, to set him on fire.
Before we get to fire, I have an idea. Instead of the fire, we'll use that as backup. Just hold that thought. Hold that theory. I can't believe I'm saying this. Argenta hit me.
Sure, and I punch him.
Alright, make an attack roll.
Sure. That's oh, now I roll high.
Yeah, there we go.
The only thing that matters is if it's a crit or not.
No, it's not. It's like a 23,
Okay, what's your strength
24
mod?
something. Plus 3, so 4 damage.
So you take 4 damage as he just socks you across the jaw.
Okay.
You taste blood a little bit.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Just knocked a molar loose. Thanks. My
A little
theory
bit
was
impressed by Argenta's strength.
no, yeah, absolutely. But my question outside of the game would be: would that allow me to make another saving throw, or is it this is just there and done?
You don't. I'm not asking you to make another saving throw.
So that's what I figured. Okay, that was a theory I was going to try out.
That looked like fun. Can I try?
If a saving
Yeah,
throw
no.
is required, I will ask you to make it.
Okay, cool. Just asking.
I mean, if
Or
you
just
want me to,
Trying.
I can
Maybe
take
you
a
hit him
second
harder.
and I'll punch you harder.
No. It's, we're good. We're good.
Briar's still sitting there with the fire on her hands.
Yeah, I am. And I'm
I
laughing
mean-
harder. It's getting maniacal now.
In any case, this town, when I said what's our next plan, I meant like to protect it.
Well, yeah, I know that much. The only thing I can think of besides facing the full on onslaught of this whole thing, which is just death waiting, um, is essentially trying to go back and trying to either A, capture this noble that's this face of the whole operation, or B, find his papers, which is going to be just as difficult as it is capturing him. So
After about half an hour, I'd make my way back to the bar.
Okay. So you missed this entire punching fire incident.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, completely oblivious.
So,
Well.
Liliane, you're downstairs. You missed the fire punching incident as well. You see Henri walk back in roughly about half an hour later. Anything you do?
Where you been?
I mean, they have like small temples across the street. Would you like me to recite my prayers? Do you want to know my blood type?
Who?
I'll
Ed-
Go ahead. I was just gonna say I'll just show him the holy symbol.
As you do that, the door behind you bursts open, and Abigail comes in and goes, "Where's the commander?"
I mean, I think he's upstairs.
And she runs upstairs. You guys, as Briar is sitting there with her flaming hands laughing maniacally, you guys hear this, "Commander? Commander, please open up."
rubbing my face still. Doors are open.
So she runs in. "We need you outside now. There's
What's going
men
on?
here. They're asking for you."
Would I have seen them on my way back to the bar?
Surprisingly enough, you didn't.
Okay.
Which is weird. Because you were, again, you walked through the center of town. And she came in, again, less than a minute after you got there, so.
I say we go out and kick their butts.
Don't be so hasty, but we'll go out and be
Yeah.
behind them.
I'll make my way outside.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
As
follow.
you get outside, no one is out there. Or none of the town people are out there. It has become a ghost town. There is a lone figure standing about 50 feet away from you guys. He's wearing dark leathers. You see a couple daggers on his belt, and he's got a bandolier of would look like throwing darts. And Briar, you actually recognize him as
Is it
Mordecai,
Yes!
the guy that was talking with the noble.
I mean, oh no.
So as he's standing there, he sees you all kind of line up, and he goes, "So, it's high noon."
Oh no! Oh no!
He turns to the group and he's like, "So, which one of you calls himself the commander?"
Nobody here.
"I am not in the mood for jokes. I am here to help you."
In what way?
"Well, many bad things are going to happen relatively soon. And I am aware of the commander. I'm aware of your reputation." And he starts kind of walking forward, looking directly at you. "I am
That's
aware of what you have done and the people you have saved, and I have no quarrel with you. I think you are good man. I think you are honorable man. And I think your death would be a bad thing for this country, for the people around here. I think you make this world a better place.
As he's walking forward, can I like insight check him to see if he's trying to pull our attention away from something?
Sure,
Or
roll an insight check.
Can I perception check just to get an idea, see if I see anything else around any other people?
that's a 15.
So you do notice he is purposefully keeping his hands away from his weapons.
24 on perception.
It's a ghost town. He is the
Okay.
only person you can see.
I just want to make sure.
Okay.
I would like to see if he's wearing one of those belt buckles.
Sure, perception check.
I was gonna say that I didn't actually walk out completely with them. I was gonna cast invisibility and kind of walk around to be behind him.
Okay, I'm gonna need a stealth check. Just because in order for you to realize what's going on, you would have had to see him and then made that decision. So I'll need a stealth check for you to have not been seen when you saw him.
7 on my perception check.
He's not wearing one of those belt buckles.
Hmm.
He's close enough you can see his belt. It's a standard double metal loop leather belt. It wraps around itself.
And that was a 29 stealth.
29 stealth. You think you're stealthed. And then you cast invisibility. You guys have no idea where Briar's gone.
Okay.
Briar, you do notice that the roads here are dirt. If you move in the open, because there's no one else here, they will see your footprints. You just there simply is not a way for you to move without them being able to see your footprints.
Could I go up on a roof then? Maybe?
If you want to try that, I will need a strength athletics check for you to climb.
16?
It's a bit tough work, but you are able to make it to the top of a roof of the tavern.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay there and
Okay.
read lips if I have to.
They're speaking loud enough that you don't need to read lips.
I kind of looking at Mordecai as he's making this approach, and I'm just like, I'm from the Vagrant Wolves. We've worked in this country before. I'm surprised I haven't heard of you if you're commanding a number of men.
See, that is the work that I do. It is better when I am not known. So the fact that you do not know me speaks to how good I am at my job. If you understand my meaning.
I do.
And
So-
just what is your job?
My job is what I am paid to do. And right now, what I am paid to do involves ridding this town of its inhabitants. That does not need to include you. We are honorable men. We are intelligent men. I'm certain that we can come to some sort of arrangement. I would, again, prefer not to kill you.
And likewise, I suppose, if this is really your plan or whatever you say,
He's now
Mike-
15 feet away.
it's fine. I'll step 5 feet forward, close to him. I'm curious as to why the sudden change, just because you know that I'm here. or because of something else, but either way,
There is no change. I was not aware of your involvement when I was hired. If I had been made aware of your involvement before I was hired, that would have, let us say, affected my terms. However, I accepted a contract. I complete the contract. That is how my business works. You understand this, he points to Argenta. You understand this, being a mercenary. When
Yeah.
when you start taking contracts and then deciding not to complete contracts, you stop getting contracts. We we can be choosy about the contracts we take, but when we take them, we must complete them. So, my offer is this. If you are to leave, I would be more than willing, instead of killing every man, woman, and child in here, to allow them to all leave. No death, no murder, no killing of innocents, just they will be allowed to leave. I think this is very fair. It does slightly go against my contract, but I believe the intent of the contract would still be fulfilled.
you see, much like a contract, someone's word is just as important. Don't you agree?
I would most definitely agree with that statement, yes.
And how do you think you know of me?
I think you are a man that understands tactics, a man that understands when it is best to fight and when it is best to flee. And I think you are the kind of man that understands that a true commander will not lead his troops to their death needlessly. A true commander will retreat to save the lives of his men.
That may be true. But a true commander also knows how, essentially, to mislead. So,
Part of warfare involves feints and trying to get into the mind of your enemy. You and I know this. You and I know that combat is not simply who is better with a blade. Sometimes combat comes down entirely to who is smarter, who is better at getting into the mind of their enemy.
which means you may have an unfair advantage.
Well, what some would call unfair advantage, other would call insurance, let's say. So and now he closes to where he's standing right next to you.
Has
Again,
he
that's-
been leaving? Has he
What?
been leaving footprints?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now he's right next to you. Again, I give you this offer. If you leave, no one has to die. If you don't leave, everyone has to die. That is the original contract. I was hired to kill everyone here. Make sure that no one even remembers the name Dormain. And I am more than happy to fulfill this contract. This is not even the most let's say, morally difficult contract I have ever had to take. There was there was once a young man who simply was trying to get his fellow workers to be treated better, and well, let's just say when he met his very unfortunate end, the rest of the workers were more than happy with what they had and felt no need to rebel or even to try to organize. He was a good boy, though. Simply made an enemy of the wrong person.
How do we know you're here for your word?
Because I'm telling you. Again, as I've told you, I am a man of honor. When I take a contract, I fulfill it. Because I was not given the full amount of information I should have for this contract, I am allowed some wiggle room with how I complete it.
Tell me, Mordecai,
Well-
when you took this contract, you knew you'd have to kill everyone here?
Yes, that was what the contract was for.
I think
It
you're
wouldn't-
mistaken. I think at least one person here has to die.
Well, originally, yes, that would have been true. All of them would have had to die. When you got involved, and I was made aware of this involvement, it allowed me to renegotiate.
I kind of.
You have made me a much more wealthy man than I was going to be previously, which I thank you.
How much is the lives of all of these people worth to you?
That is part of the contract I do not talk about. It is very unprofessional. Wouldn't you agree, mercenary?
Lone wolf, and I take off my jacket showing the tattoos of wolves down my arm, and I'm just like, it wouldn't be the first time I fought on my own against an overwhelming odds.
I know you. I have an acquaintance that knows you very well. It is sad
Really?
he cannot be here anymore. He was called away. This would be much easier with him here. But when you are good at what you do, you're in high demand. You know this.
The Bloody Fang.
What is a name? Simply tales told around the campfire, no? The fact of the matter is, I am the one you are dealing with. So, and he turns back to the commander, what is your answer? I believe this to be a very generous offer.
Oh, it is very generous indeed. The only problem is I have never backed down. And you have never backed down. So, it seems we are at an impasse.
This is what I expected. I was hoping that you would be able to listen to reason, but again, you are the commander, and I unfortunately have failed.
I understand.
Well, as strange as it is to say, I do wish you the best of luck. Hopefully, I will be able to give you a death that will be remembered. It is very sad that you will no longer be a part of this world, but sometimes that's how it goes.
And the world will be a much brighter place after my blade pierces your heart.
You're welcome to take that. Um, I have to go now. I must prepare.
Do you have to go? Maybe why don't you share a drink with us? I think that might perhaps we can talk, and I will cast Charm Person on him.
Oh,
Okay, he waves his hand. The spell fizzles. And as he waves his hand, you see with blinding speed, he waves his hand and in the same action draws one of the darts from his bandolier, throws it into the ground at your feet, just barely missing your foot. That is not kind. I came here without pretense. I have been honest with you. You attempt to use magic on me. That, not very nice.
As soon as he
You-
throws that dart,
You who come here to murder a village full of people talk about being nice?
I who come here
You-
to fulfill a contract of
A
the person
contract to
who
murder
rightfully
people.
owns this land. I really do not care about your judgment.
And I don't care about your legal system or your values. I care about what is right.
Fantastic. He turns back to the commander.
I was gonna
wish
say,
you a
whenever he
glorious
did-
death. And then he turns around and starts walking away.
do we want to even try this right now?
You're welcome to try anything you want. You have seen how he reacted to Valeraven attempting to cast a spell.
Mm-hmm.
I
was
will
asking
burn
the
him
group.
alive.
He's walking away right now. Do we want to try this?
We would cause collateral damage that would in turn fulfill part of his contract if we do this here.
No one is outside right now. This is a ghost town. Everyone's gone.
No, everybody's in the buildings.
Oh,
Yeah,
Sorry.
no one's outside. Everybody
That's what I
went
meant.
into the buildings.
We can't guarantee that
he won't cast in
he
turn.
won't, knowing what we're gonna do, he won't just
I
throw something
really
at the
don't
building.
know what it does about me either.
Yeah, we don't know if he'll turn into Valeraven and burn things.
Not if I burn him first.
All right,
So as you
I'll
guys are
just watch him
discussing
walk
this,
away.
he's gotten to the edge of town.
Yep.
As he gets to the edge of town, you see him kind of go from the kind of casual stroll he was doing, and kind of moves into a trot as he kind of rounds a corner and heads off into the woods.
I will burn him.
In due time. But right now, we need to plan.
It's dawn. We can plan. I always do my planning better in the light.
Yeah, it's now full morning. The sun has risen.
I'm just gonna step back in the shadows.
Okay.
Should we go back up to the room? Or do we want to try and maybe even follow him, which is probably even a bad idea.
I'm starving.
Knowing a man of that caliber, he probably would expect that to some degree and have an ambush waiting.
He did trot away from us.
No, the man of that caliber knows that we would not try anything, so he probably didn't go with backup. So, I mean, there's still no point in doing it. I'm hungry. Let's go inside and eat.
What do we do with this fight? We can try and fortify the village.
there's one, not enough time, and two, not enough supplies. We have to go to them at this
Yeah.
point, just because.
Having the villagers fortify themselves and learn of those things is probably fortifying for their spirits as well. It has them doing something, and it may provide some type of an advantage. But I don't know that I disagree with you. Waiting for them to come to us may not be the best plan.
No, because them coming to us means them uh, heightening their ranks, adding more people, adding more difficulty for us.
What do we do when we go to them, though? We maybe take out a leader, maybe not. Whole camp descends upon us.
Well, it isn't one of the others. It's maybe a matter of choosing a battlefield that I don't know how it favors us, but is it as amenable to them at the camp?
But
And
this
they
is
can put everything right with.
that would help if there was like a mountain pass, but this is a forest, and it's hard to how we even draw them out, even if we found such a place without it screaming, "This is a trap."
When you cut the head of the snake, the body will rot, and without the leader, the army will either not because they're not getting paid, will not care to do anything anymore, and they'll just leave.
Yeah, but who is the head that will cut off?
Uh,
Is it Mordecai? Is it Titus? Is it Benedict? Is it all three of them?
Commander,
It's actually me.
roll me a history check.
History 22.
So, again, having a history of command, you know there are a lot of different ways to reduce the effectiveness of your troops. There are a lot of things that you ensure. Things like having them properly fed makes them fight better. Having them properly armed makes them fight better. Having them properly rested makes them fight better. If you were to prevent this army from doing any or all of those things, you reduce their effectiveness in battle, damage their weapons, they can't fight as well. Remove their food supplies. An army is run on its stomach. Prevent them from getting the sleep that they need by constantly doing little skirmishes and surgical strikes. They will, when they're in full combat, they will act much worse because they'll be sleep deprived. There are quite a few different methods to sabotaging an army that you are aware of, other than straight up just killing them. That's an effective tactic too, but
Yeah, right. So nothing's going to be done here, so we might as well.
begin with
With
the
it being
fire.
Yeah, right.
Where?
We might as well either A, make our way back to them, or B, make our way around just to see if we can see maybe where their supply runs are coming from.
Okay.
Or
Well, as you guys make these plans, that is where we are going to end it for tonight. So, if this is your first time catching it live, welcome. I hope you come back again. Feel free anytime live. I do have chat open. I do keep an eye on it, as do a few members of the cast. We generally won't respond to chat on screen, but we will type and things like that and converse with you when we can, when we're not focused on, not dying or things like that. Or in my case, killing them off as quickly and painfully as possible. If you're watching this on YouTube, I do this live every Wednesday. I'm running something, either this or my other campaign, so please tune in live. It starts at 9 p.m. Central Time. Otherwise, I do upload all these to my YouTube channel, so if you want to catch up on any of them, it's youtube.com/trainerjody. Please subscribe over there. I'm trying to get my partner status back. Otherwise, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.